Hello fellows, Herogon here. July 2024 saw some good developments. That past month, I went into my 6th month of Full Sail classes and have aced Programming for Interactive Technology 2. As of this recording, I've been enjoying a week-long summer break from July 29th to August 4th. However, you all know me. Where one area stops work, another area pushes on, which I've been doing. Sean's tutorials across this month involved improvements to the fighting game framework's tag team system. While it's uncommon for Sean to dedicate an entire month of tutorials to one topic like tag teams, I believe it's welcome. After all, a lot of you people do like tag teams, don't you? With all that said, let's jump into the Funlog. July 7th saw the start of further improvements to the tag team system. From fixing errors to setting up proper parameters for each character on a team, these are two good ways to polish the tag team system. The first spot is our character's animation blueprint. In our character's anim BP, we use a validated get node for our HUD reference in the anim notify start entrance sequence. If our HUD reference is valid, we do our usual logic of set visibility of the HUD reference to hidden, and we play one of our sounds. If the HUD reference isn't valid, we only go to the custom play sound 2D function, which is a function in our base function library. The same goes for finished entrance, as we now use a validated get in our logic. With that part, we fix some stuff that could end up buggy in the future once HUD logic changes the character that's fighting right now. Our second improvement is with the default game mode BP, where we're now adding on to our player 1 and player 2 reference variables. We have the other player now using team 1 or team 2 characters. After the isValid branches, we now use a for each loop with one of our team characters' array variables as the array input. For each loop of our team 1 character's array, we set the other player's input as our player 2 variable, and our target is the array element from team 1 characters for each loop. Once our first for each loop completes, the same thing goes a second time. For that second time, we instead use team 2 characters as our array, and our player 1 variable as the input for other player. Once that second for each loop completes, we go forward with our past logic. While that week was pretty minor on the coding side and blueprints, tag team mechanics are a big leap to take for game developers. So do pardon all pixie dust that comes from the final results of this past month of July 2024. July 14th saw more improvements again for the tag team system, which has become the case for much of July 2024. that week gave hit stop functionality for more than 2 characters, utilized some physics for unpossessed characters, and ensured all characters faced the proper direction. In the game mode.cpp, our tick function uses new logic for the if num hit stop frames less than or equal to 0 condition logic. Instead of the conditionals of if player 1 and if player 2, we use for loops in each character array. We call end hit stop within the for loops. With that logic, hit stop now works for all characters. In character.cpp, our big change is regarding the physics. Before July 14th, the character physics such as sliding off logic did not work for the second character in our tag teams. In our constructor function, we have a row of get character movement code lines. We have a new line of code which sets the boolean of run physics with no controller to be true. With that one little line, the physics issues are one step closer to being fixed up. Going to the blueprint side of logic, the level streamed in custom event in default game mode blueprint has a new logic change. Around our for each loops for setting other player, we now set our team 2 characters is facing right boolean to true before saying the other player as player 1. Once again, things are still a work in progress, but otherwise brilliant for progression. July 21st went over even more improvements to the tag team system. I know it's a pattern for this July 2024, but it's not a bad one. The improvements that week included unpossessing characters, tagging in other characters on your team, and other minor improvements to tag team logic. In character.h, tagout is now a boolean function. In character.cpp, tagout now uses return values depending on our team mode type. If our current team mode type is not solo, we return a value of true. Otherwise, we return a boolean value of false. In playercontroller.cpp, our call tagout function has a lot of new logic. First up, we check if our possessed pawn is the one calling tagout. If so, we further validate by checking if our game mode input is casting to the desired game mode. From there, we check if our possessed character is on either Team 1 or Team 2. Either way, both parts of logic are similar. If we're on Team 1, we find our possessed character and retrieve their index on the array using an integer variable tag index that equals our find area for Team 1. If our last character is being tagged out, we go back to tag index being 0. After that, we unpossess our current character, possess our next character in the tag index, and set our player controller's possessed character to the character being tagged in on Team 1. Similar things have been used for the Team 2 area of logic, though we do use Team 2's variable stuff instead of Team 1 there. Another part of the work in progress, per usual, with the tag team system. I'll be really nervous if anyone suggests that Sean's framework should take pages from Mortal 1 Kombat, as the fourth snake a YouTuber calls Mortal Kombat 1, as I haven't played that game yet. Otherwise, that week of July 21st was decent. July 28th saw a very big update to widget logic, as before that week, widget inputs could affect stacked widgets. In this case, if command list was the menu added to viewport while pause wasn't removed, then any inputs from the former UI would be listened to by the latter UI. Our improvements called for improving logic to accurately track all game menus, deciding active widgets for future navigation updates, and improving all user interface across the board. Much of our work is in Blueprint, starting with the base function library. This base function library can have its functions called in any of our blueprints. We've created a new function called setCurrentWidget, which will set our current widget. We cast to base player controller, whose object is our player controller and the world context. If our cast succeeds, we set our current widget variable from base player controller.h to the function's input of active widget of type widget. While this may be simple, the real meat is where this can be used. I could show all widgets, but I'll stick to a few examples at this recording time. Near the end of event construct in character select screen, we set the current widget to self, done by searching get a reference to self. In versus pause menu, we do the same thing. Finally, in command list, there's a bit more to do there. At the completed part of our for each loop node, we set current widget to self like always. However, for event back from our widget navigation interface, which controls whether we go back to another menu, we set our current widget to be the owning widget variable, which uses a validated get this time. Depending on how far you get with setting current widgets, you can see the active widgets reference change a lot by going to the outliner and checking base player controller 0's details. A nice ending to our July month, and it's something to look forward to improving upon in the next few months or weeks. The results of this past month were quite remarkable, as tag team systems are well known in such games as Marvel vs. Capcom, Guilty Gear, and Street Fighter. While there's still a long way to go before it becomes like those fighting games, I'm happy that this month saw a lot of tag team coverage from Shawnthebro. July saw a month go by fast, thanks in part to my continuing studies with Full Sail University's online classes. And for those who are about to head back to Full Sail after this summer break, if you happen to be fellow students, I wish you all good luck. Credit again goes to Shawnthebro for all his work, which I've enjoyed going through this past month. It has been a lovely backbone for the Funlog content, and I hope I can succeed as he has when working with Unreal Engine. With all that said, I hope you like this video, so comment, like, and subscribe below if you haven't already. It helps a small YouTuber out, especially in times like these. I've been Herogon, and you've been you. Thank you for tuning in. I will catch you all later.